In this video, we bring you top 10 most underrated players in the Premier League history. Welcome to Omni-Sports channel. English Premier League player rating. The Premier League is filled with a legion of star players who continue to dominate the headlines, and rightly so, as a result of their pieces of individual brilliance. However, there are other players that, for whatever reasons, simply don't get the recognition they deserve. But before we kick off, kindly subscribe to this channel and activate the notification bell. Number 10. Lukasz Fabianski. Only 6 teams have conceded more goals than West Ham's 22 this term, but that figure would be worse if it wasn't for Fabianski. The Polish shot stopper kept Swansea in the survival picture for longer than they deserved in the 2017-2018 and has proven just as crucial to his new employers in East London. The former Arsenal custodian may turn 33 before the end of the campaign, but his reflexes remain as sharp as ever. Of the division's ever-present goalkeepers, only Joe Hart has made more saves so far. Fabianski keeps doing it for his club week in, week out, without force and without much acclaim. Number 9. Claude Makélélé. Claude Makélélé was not an amazing scorer or a flashy player, but he was without a doubt a revolutionary player at his position. Makélélé was a defensive midfield and is credited by many as redefining the position. Makélélé was incredibly consistent and a strong player, capable of stifling his opponent's play. If you wanted a defensive midfielder that you could trust to go out there and dominate nearly all the time, Makélélé was your guy. Claude Makélélé diligently won the ball back in midfield and usually released it to a player best positioned to hurt the opposition. If such an option weren't available, he'd pass to the player closest to him and moved to a better position which offered better passing opportunities. One would think that with all he contributes to a team, he will be accorded his due accolade, but the contrary is the case, as he, more often than not, is unappreciated enough. Number 8. Darren Fletcher. Another player who many usually overlooks his contributions to his team is Darren Fletcher. He usually went about his task on the pitch in an unassuming way. He may not have been as skilled as Anderson or as experienced as the veteran Scholes, but he is definitely one of the best readers of the game. Also, the amount of effort he puts in and the way he runs off his socks for his team cannot be matched by most midfielders of his generation. Yet, not many pundits accord him the plaudit he deserves. Number 7. Dirk Kuyt. There has been no Liverpool player more underrated in the Premier League era than Dirk Kuyt. Having signed as a potent striker from Feyenoord in the summer of 2006, Kuyt tweaked his game to become a hugely effective right winger. He was far from the most entertaining player, and there were plenty with more technical ability. But time and time again, he delivered in the big matches. He scored the winning penalty in the shootout triumph over Chelsea in the 2007 Champions League semi-final and scored in the final itself. He scored other vital goals in Europe against Arsenal and Inter Milan, fired home 2 penalties at Goodison Park to snatch a memorable derby victory over Everton, and knocked United out of the FA Cup with a last-minute winner in front of the Cup in 2012. The list is endless. In spite of these feats, it beats one's imagination that not many consider him half the player that he is, which is quite a great disservice to the talent and passion he exhibits on the pitch. Number 6. Pablo Zabaleta. Zabaleta joined West Ham in 2017 after spending 9 successful years with Manchester City. He signed for City the day before the Abu Dhabi takeover went through and always gave 100% every time he played for the club. He was not underrated or unappreciated by Man City fans, but outside the blue half of Manchester City, he remains criminally unappreciated. Zabaleta has announced that the upcoming season will be his last in the Premier League. He will go down as one of the most underrated players in the Premier League history. Number 5. Jermain Defoe. Jermain Defoe, the ex-Spurs player, is undoubtedly one of the most underrated strikers in football history, but he may not be the most underrated striker in the EPL history. The all-time 8th top scorer of the Premier League, Jermain Defoe, 162 goals in 496 games in top-flight English football. His longevity in the English game has been impressive, and although he has failed to win any tangible honor so far in his career, his record is up there with some of the very best that the Premier League has seen. Number 4. James Milner. No matter how many times he plays for England, no matter how much Man City paid him for all those years ago, no matter how much Liverpool pays him in wages, there's one label that's always stuck with him: boring Milner. He isn't flashy and he'll never capture a nation's imagination, but he's one of the best around at what he does. A lack of showboating on the field belies the fact that he's effective, focusing on keeping it simple. He's undoubtedly one of the most underrated players in the Premier League history. Number 3. Gareth Barry. Despite being the record holder for the all-time Premier League appearances, Barry has never been truly appreciated by those that haven't watched him on a regular basis. Barry moved to Aston Villa from Brighton and Hove Albion as a youngster and spent 12 years at the club. He captained Aston Villa and is 8th in their all-time list of appearances with 441 across all competitions, of which 365 in the Premier League. In June 2009, he joined Manchester City, where he won the FA Cup in 2011 and Premier League title the following season. After a season on loan, he joined Everton on a 3-year contract in July 2014. He then moved to West Brom in 2017. Roberto Martinez had this to say about him in an interview: "Gareth is one of those players who get underrated. The reason we have so many developing young players is there are leaders in the mold of Gareth Barry. It is no coincidence that we have Gareth Barry around them." Number 2. Ledley King. In his days, King was the best defender in the Premier League bar none. Loyal to Tottenham Hotspur throughout his career, this one-club man called an end to his playing time in 2012 after 14 years as a professional. Ledley Brenton King's chronic knee injury limited his game time and often saw him unable to train ahead of matches. He only featured in 321 club games, meaning in all competitions on average, he featured in 23 games per season. It is no exaggeration to say that in his days, he would have walked into any Premier League team in the country. Yes, he was that good. The media may not have appreciated his talent, but his peers certainly acknowledged it. Thierry Henry had this to say about Ledley King: "He is the only guy who doesn't hold players. He will get the ball off you without you even knowing it. That's the sign of a good defender." Number 1. Michael Carrick. A player with 5 Premier League titles and a Champions League winner's medal to his name, yet one who still some people can't believe has ever been good enough to play for Manchester United or represent his country. Carrick has been one of the best midfielders in the European game for the past decade. The central midfielder flitted between the treatment room, the bench and the first team over the last few years, before taking up a coaching role at Manchester United. In spite of these achievements, many would rather see him as just an average player. He is definitely one of the most underrated players in the Premier League history. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Do not forget to subscribe if you have not done so. Like, comment and share our videos. Thanks for watching.